And now more of my interview with former President Donald Trump from earlier this week at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. Take a look. Let me ask you about Merrick Garland. He said a lot before Congress yesterday. He had a very rough day yesterday. He testified he will not provide the audio recordings of the Robert Hur interview. This is the one where Joe Biden, for example, one of many examples, struggling cognitively and said, was I still vice president in 2009? That's the year he became vice president. And I sat there and I said, wow. And then the whole question, Matt Gaetz asked, Garland, will you provide any and all documents, communications that may have taken place with Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, Fonnie Willis's office? Again, no commitment to do anything like that. Then, of course, you had, Jim Jordan. And Jim Jordan was asking, pressing on whether or not the whole documents case where they had the footnote, which Eileen Cannon is now going to be looking into a lot of issues, including whether or not it was a proper appointment. And why now do the documents look different than maybe the pictures or whatever the footnote had to say, that they admitted that it was not the same?
It's a big deal.
I would think so. And all of that, what do you say about Merrick Garland?
I'm disappointed in him. He was very liberal, known as being very liberal, but I always looked upon him as being a very legitimate person. And I'm very disappointed that he's allowed this all to happen, a raid of Mar-a-Lago. They could have had whatever they wanted. You understand that?
Didn't you let the FBI in here and with no problems? Didn't they go into the room where most of the documents?
I let them go in.
And didn't they call back 2 days later and say, would you put a padlock on that?
No, they said, would you put a second padlock? Because I had a padlock.
And you did. And my next question is, if they wanted to come back, would you have let them back?
Sure. They had no problem.
And if they wanted to take the documents, would you have let them?
I would have let them, even though I didn't have to, because you have the Presidential Records Act, which says very specifically it's up to the president. It's all up.
Why didn't
the New York Times had an article, and it headlined, "Please, please, please, Mr. President, can we have your documents?" They said in this article, probably the writer was fired, but basically it's up to the president what he wants to do.
They never asked? They never once said, can we come and look again?
This was a political stunt, I think, that backfired on them.
Joe Biden, make my day, wanted you to debate him. But then he wants to set all the rules. He wants to pick the networks. He only laid out 4 networks. He wants to set all the rules. Now, has your team been able to successfully negotiate specific terms in these debates? For example, I think that you should have a say in the moderator. I think you should have a say in what the format is, a say in, all of these things. Has your team...
Well, let me tell you what really happened. They came to me with an offer that I couldn't accept, and I immediately accepted it. They said Fake Tapper is going to be the moderator. Now, maybe he'll be fair. I hope he's going to be fair. I think there's pressure on him to be fair.
Have you seen the stuff I played about him?
I know, but they said he's going to be the moderator with a couple of other people that, wouldn't be exactly first on the list. But they said it's going to be CNN. They also wanted to be seated. I said, I don't want to be seated. Well, you should stand up for a debate. I've never seen a seated debate. I guess you could do that.
So will it be standing?
It's going to be standing. But they gave us a list of demands. Number 1, it was CNN. Number 2, if you take a look, Jake has not exactly been great to Republicans or to Trump. So they gave us a list of things that, no audience, there's not going to be any audience. I like the feel of an audience. You get sort of, there's a mood.
Joe's not used to one.
But we have nobody in the audience, not even your family. I mean, there's nobody. We're like in probably a very sterile room. But here's the thing. I immediately accepted because they thought I was not going to accept. They said, we're going to make him an offer that he's just going to have to refuse. And I accepted it because I think it's very important that we have a debate. I think they wanted me not to accept it so that they can say we made an offer, he didn't accept, and therefore we don't have to debate. But you know what? The country has to have a debate. Now, with the Republicans, I didn't debate because I was up 60, 70, 80 points on everybody. So I said, why would I debate when you're up, get me down to, I actually said, get me down to 25 or 30 points. But I was up 60, 70 points. And I said, I'm not going to debate. Why should I do that? And I think it turned out to be a right. Why should I put myself out there when somebody's at...
The country needs these debates.
when
And I hope
somebody's
you'll
at
show
one,
up on the Fox
Sean,
debate.
on the Republican. Why should I put myself out there when somebody's at 1 and I'm at 88? Okay, but with regard to a Democrat and a Republican, I think it's vital. And I'd love to have Kennedy in the debate, too. I think it's important to have him. The problem is his poll numbers are terrible. He's down very low.
So there should be a threshold for him.
Yeah, sure. It should be probably, I think they have like 20, 25% or something. But his numbers are lousy, and they seem to be getting worse. But I don't mind having him in the debate. I think it would be good, but his numbers are too low. But look, the Republican and the Democrat should debate, not only from tradition. The country has to see where we are. The country has to see what's going on. Our country is going to hell, and we have to change it. And we have to change it fast, or we're not going to have a country.